Plaintiff Albert Frazier has known the defendant for over 20 years, and they used to be members of the Bloods. Albert claims he saw several friends killed as a result of gang violence, and both he and the defendant got out and turned their lives around. He's suing his former friend for the balance due on a car. Defendant Timothy Owen says he got out of the gang because he wanted to be a role model for his daughter, and now he's a pastor. Timothy denies owing Albert for the car, and he's countersuing because he claims Albert came to his job and harassed him.
Start with you.
I'm kind of disturbed to actually be here today. The defendant is actually someone that I've known for over 20 plus years. I consider him as family. Beyond that, we both had a bond at a young age. We became involved with the Bloods. Over the years, we've seen a lot of gang violence. Had over 10 to 15 friends who have been killed due to gang violence. My best friend was killed down the street from my house, shot in the face over 6 years ago, murder still unanswered. Like I said, we've known plenty of friends who have been killed due to the violence. We both have made changes. I've had custody of my kids now since I was 19 years old. I became a bill collector, went back to school, things of that nature.
Did you finish school?
I have a certificate, not a degree.
Good. All right. And what?
Automotive body.
All right. And did you get a job in that area?
I actually did not.
Okay. You got a job somewhere. People saw that you had completed some type of training, and so I'm sure that gave them a little confidence that you had the discipline to come to work. I'm saying all this so that other young men who are in the street and want to get out, they understand nothing short of getting some type of certificate or community associate's degree or bachelor's degree or training certificate. Nothing short of that is going to get you a job these days. GED or high school diploma is not enough. So that's why I was asking you those questions. Glad to hear that you got out of the street. And like you said, you got out of the street by going to school and get you a training certificate. And even though you didn't get a job in the area you trained for, you did get a job. And had you not gone and gotten that, I promise you, you wouldn't have gotten the job. So, sir, what did you do to get out of those mean streets?
Well, what I did was I decided to go to college. I went there for a while, Good. 2 years community college. Then I, took more advantage of my kids being in their life. And then I went ahead and got myself back in church. Became a youth minister and worked my way up through the channels and became a senior pastor. And then also started a business, a mechanic shop.
Good. You got a mechanic shop? You got a mechanic shop?
Yes, sir.
And you ain't hired your man?
He was already working, Judge, at the
All
time.
right, all right. But I'm glad to hear you guys in there. You go, once again, you went to school first. And what guys in the street need to know as well, when you go to school, you're really leaving the streets if you're dedicating yourself to your studies, because you're taking classes, so you're there all day. And if you're studying 3 hours a night, then not much time for the streets. And so, once again, you got out of the street by going to school. And you learned enough to know that instead of shooting and killing each other like your buddies used to do on the street, you learn now to come to court to resolve your disputes, right?
Yeah. Plaintiff Albert Frazier has known the defendant for over 20 years, and they both used to be members of a street gang, the Bloods.
Before we get to the balance owed on the car that you're suing him for, let me allow him to give some background, sir.
Yes, like he said, we were raised up together in the streets. And so we found ourselves being in a local street gang. I decided to get out that life because I've seen things that had happened in the streets, as far as with friends, also with family. I've seen some that were killed, some that were ended up in prison, some ended up on drugs, and it just wasn't a life that I wanted to live and show example to my daughter.
I'm glad to hear both of you talking about your children and being engaged with them. Go ahead.
And this situation has put a wedge between us. as far as what we're coming to court.
The car? Okay, let's get to the balance on the car. But once again, you all are a good example of how you can overcome those streets. And then once you come out of those streets, you became fathers to your children. So there's some benefits to educating these young adults as opposed to incarcerating all of them, because not only are they able to get a skill, they're also more diligent toward taking care of their children. So the government doesn't have to take care of the children, doesn't have to pay for your prison bed. In fact, we get more money from your tax dollars. So I like to thank you all for saving the taxpayers some money too. And hopefully these policymakers, otherwise known as politicians, will have watched this and be more convinced that it's better to invest in educating our youth than incarcerating all of our youth. All right, $2,300 on the car. How so?
Purchase on the car was for $4,000. He put $1,000 down payment on the car. He was supposed to make 6 payments of $500 on the car. He never once made a payment of $500 ever. He's probably made 3 payments on the car totaling $700. It was $3,000 that was left on the car. You know, I call him, he don't answer. You know, give him another call.
You need to be more considerate, sir. The man had to get the church painted. He's a good pastor. He had to get the church painted. Yeah. Go ahead, sir. What do you want to tell me?
I got the vehicle, and he was telling me that the vehicle was in excellent condition. And so I took his word that the vehicle was in excellent conditions. About 2 or 4 weeks later.
What year was the vehicle?
1967 Delta 88.
Oh, wow. Classic car.
Excellent condition. Never told him that.
Go ahead, sir.
So he said it was in excellent condition.
You were right to get out of the street. Mechanic, then what did you do?
Mechanic, who brought his mechanic with him when he got the car.
Yeah, and I also test drove it.
Drove wonderfully.
And secondly, sir, so that viewers know as well, when you buy a car as is, which was the case, you're allowed to do engage in a little puffery. Oh, it runs great. It's in good shape. It's only when someone asks you about something specific and then you lie. Does the transmission work well? Oh yeah, the transmission works well. Then if it doesn't, you're misleading that person. They say, does the engine work well? The engine is fine. There's no problem with the engine. You discover there's a problem with the engine, you've been misled. But for someone to make a general comment about an as-is sale, it's expected that they will say, oh yes, good. And unless you ask some specific questions and they just straight out lie to you about the question you've asked, they have not misled you. Now, Pastor, did you ask about anything specific?
Yes, I asked, was the car excellent running car? And he said yes.
Specific.
Yeah.
No, that's not specific. I'm talking about specific parts, sir. When did you come to him and complain about it?
Probably like within the 30 days. 30 days
90
of time.
days.
I took the car up to Detroit, where most of my family's from. I drove up there from Toledo, which is nothing about 50, 60 minutes away. So I figured, since he said the car was in excellent condition, that it would make that drive. I came back, and all of a sudden, everything just started breaking on the vehicle, and I had to come out my pocket.
That's why you don't believe you all.
Plaintiff Albert Frazier has known the defendant for over 20 years, and they both used to be members of a street gang, the Bloods.
Your counterclaim for $2,300 for harassment. How so?
Because he kept calling and leaving text messages, and one time he came up to my place of business and he was yelling, and I lost a couple
Stop
customers
there. He came to your place of business. What occurred there?
Oh, he just came up. He came out the vehicle. He got to yelling, talking loud, and a couple customers looked kind of scary, and they kind of left like instantly.
Sir, did you do that?
That never happened.
Did you go up to his job?
Never happened. And ironically,
never went to his job.
I have went up to the place.
Well, then why do you keep saying it never happened?
Not the way he said it happened. I went up there because he doesn't answer the phone. Asked him when was he making payments. That's it. Never got irate with him.
And what did he say?
Never got loud. He said, I didn't have the money. Basically, he never has the money. I left. He's my I consider him as a family member.
You all didn't argue?
We didn't even have an argument. he said, I will make a payment. You know, even I have.
How do you say the argument started?
Well, he jumped out and he just basically got to talking loud, yelling, asking when he's going to get a payment. He still has a key. He can repo the vehicle. He still has the title. And
that doesn't sound like an argument. That's just him saying, look, when I'm going to get my money? You know, I have the key. I got the title.
But he was like yelling and, you know, customers were looking at him.
Jumped
like,
out of the car yelling.
Yeah, never.
How far away were you?
I mean, we was close like this. So he didn't have to yell. We could have just talked. Or went into my office. You know, we could have just talked.
Did you invite him into your office?
No, because I was.
Did you say, man, let's go in here and talk about it? Stop
Well,
all the yelling, man. Let's go in here in the office and talk about it.
No, I did not, because it had escalated, and I wasn't thinking straight after
Escalated into what?
Yelling and...
you yelled back?
A little bit, like, you know, you need to calm down, you know, but...
That's not yelling.
Calm down, but still drive.
I don't want to yell in here, but, you know, I was yelling like, you need to calm down, and I was trying to keep him relaxed because I wanted to keep the customers...
Oh.
I was trying to tell him to relax. That's how I was trying to
All
keep him
right.
relaxed.
And he just kept saying what?
He just kept, you know, talking loud, saying that he want to answer.
How did it
when he's
end?
going to get a payment.
How did it end?
It ended by me saying, well, you know, we'll figure out something.
And that was good enough for him.
That was pretty much good enough for him. And then he left off, and he said he'd give me a call later, basically.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
And
then
what was discussed then?
We went deeper into about the situation about driving up to Detroit and back, and he said that is a 67. You should have never drove it that far.
So let me understand what you're saying again with him coming to your workplace. He jumped out of the car and just started yelling at you before even saying, hey, man, where's my money? I've been trying to call you. Why you didn't get back to me on my money? He just jumped out. And all you did was just calm down. And then suddenly he calmed down.
Well, I was talking
just
about
out of the blue, he said, oh, okay. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. And got in the car and left. I don't believe you, sir. I'm going to grant your judgment $2,300. He should not have expected a 45-year-old car to be in great condition. Secondly, you did not guarantee him any specific part of that car was working. Thirdly, he brought a mechanic with him, so we had an opportunity to discover any problems. And lastly, he owns a mechanic shop. With regard to your harassment, sir, I just don't believe that's what happened when he came to your job. I believe, as he says, he could not reach you, had no way of reaching you. You weren't calling him, so he came to your shop and said, hey, man, what's going on? I know he wouldn't go off on you that crazy. Both you guys from the street. I'm sure he respects your game a little more than to go down there talking crazy to you because you still got a little of that underneath you. So you ain't denying it. Preacher, no preacher. All right, $2,300 for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
Tim, I still love you, brother. You know, regardless of all the man, you still, you know, we still are a family. You know, I would just say that don't do business with friends, family, or pastors.
I don't know. I just need some time to air off, I guess, about the situation. I think we can continue on to be as family, but I just need to air off a little bit about the situation.